Hi Super Shifters, Jay from Simtech here. I thought I'd do a little video on our Shift-X system, which is a gear lever and linkage replacement for automatic gearbox systems, and particularly for off-road vehicles with transfer cases. And we replace the shifter levers and cables with linear actuators. These are all waterproof for the high-low range, the diff lock and the gearbox control. Not on this display stand here, it's our development unit. We do have an overdrive or a PTO automatic selector, depending on whether it's electric or mechanically driven. And it's all controlled by this control unit and this gear control knob here. This is our little box that we just use to show things happening, and we've got a brake input here, an ignition input, and this is our main power on. Now at the moment this unit's set up for test and demonstration purposes, so some of the functions aren't active, so we won't need to press the brake to allow it to go from park to neutral to drive. And when you power it up, the knob comes on straight away. But in the installation, we can configure lots of different things, and you don't need to have it that way. The main power will be there all the time, and only the ignition will wake the knob up. But at the moment, it's in a development mode, so some of the functions will be slightly different. The unit here, the Shift-X unit itself, has a lot of I/O, so we can control other functions like axle diff locks, like exhaust valves, PTO, and a number of other things. There's a user interface that you talk to the system with through a laptop, and you can configure all sorts of parameters from the type of gearbox. So this is a 4HP22, but we've done the 4HP22E, 24E, we've got R680, which is the Mustang gearbox. Is it? No, it doesn't matter. Various other gearboxes we've done. On our website we'll have a list of everything that we can deal with, and if there's something that we haven't done, we just do it. We just put together a new kit and we write software, change things, or if it's already in the configuration, you just tick the box and off it goes. So what I'll do is I'll power it up so you can see what happens, and it takes about 3 seconds for the display to boot up, but that's no longer than most ECU systems will take to configure themselves. So it comes up our logo, and then it drops straight into park, and we can configure it so it automatically selects park when you turn the ignition off for safety, or it just remains in the gear that you last left it in. Out of interest, this is just a little 3D printed cover that we've used for our display stand, and this is a handbrake activation button. One of the interactions we can do with this is we can interact with other customers and our own electric park brake system. So when you have pressed the brake and you've selected reverse or drive, it will take the handbrake off before putting it, or as it puts it into gear, it takes the handbrake off. So in normal operation, you just turn this and it'll go into reverse. If I do that, you can see the actuator moving there. It goes red while it's selecting, and then when it returns to its yellow colour, that's actually, it knows it's actually in the gear that you've selected. So there's the neutral, drive, third, second, first. Now we've done the 8-speed Ford gearbox, and we just change the calibration here and it displays the numbers. Also, this display can tell you, if you select drive, we can enable it so it brings up a number next to it. For the mechatronic gearboxes like the ZF and like the Ford, like the Chevrolet, the mecha gearbox tells you what gear it's in, what it's actually selecting, first, second, third. And if, I've just moved on to another screen there. If you put it in drive, we then bring up a number here that tells us what gear the gearbox is actually using. Now, as I say, the ignition and various functions are out of order at the moment, but if I do turn the ignition on, that is the diff lock light, because we must have it in diff lock somewhere. I'll go to the diff lock. Yes, so the diff lock currently is in. So if I turn the knob, you'll hear the motor there, and the diff lock light's gone out. And this is the neat thing we've got here. We can sideswipe this display to reach different functions. So that's our high-low range. That's our diff lock. This is our overdrive control. This is for a particular customer who's had this system and we've been really pleased to do this, add this function for him, and you're able to change the settings of the overdrive just by tapping on them, and they'll change a color, and we can select what speed you want it to go in. So it's got an automatic and a manual mode in there. Currently the diff lock's out. So if I sideswipe back to the start, there's the drive. We've got one other neat little thing. Well, we've got quite a lot of neat little things, but one other neat little thing is we've got a remote control for this. So it can be this wired one, so paddles on your steering column with a coily lead. Also embedded on this is wireless. So we do a wireless steering wheel and then a wireless module, and you can have everything from the knob controlled via the steering wheel if you want. So I'll just show you that. This will go into third, into second, back the other way, through the gears. Now we're in neutral. This little LED's come on to tell us that there's an output from the unit allowing you to crank. So we've got the inhibits for crank. And if I go a little bit further, there's the output. That's a direct hard power output for the reverse light. So we can run reverse lights directly, so you don't need to worry about running a relay and that sort of thing. This is a relay driven output, and that's so the existing relay in your automatic system can be triggered. There's a lot of technical stuff that we can tell you about this, but I thought I'd just go through it basically to let everybody see. We've been making this kit now for 3 years, but we've really got some quite nice functions on it now, and our software has now allowed us to do a lot more with configuration. So previously we've had to configure it for customers. Now with the user interface we can supply the kits, and you can do all sorts of setup, allowing you to custom configure it for your particular installation. This control knob, it's sitting in this little plastic housing, but it's actually, this is what it's like. So this can go absolutely anywhere. You don't have to have it on the center console. You don't have to have it near the gearbox. It can be up on the dashboard. Ideal for disabled people. Ideal for conversions where you want to clear the center console. You don't want the handbrake lever. You don't want the high-low, diff lock, main gear lever down there in the way. You want a nice center console. You can have it up on the dashboard. You can have it hidden away and have paddles. You can pretty much put it wherever you like. There's also various configurations for our low volume vehicle customers. We can configure the screen so it displays a logo of your choice, and if you so desire, in your one-off build, we're very happy to custom configure a display that has a logo, whether it be a picture of your vehicle or your coat of arms, or whatever you fancy there. So I hope this has been of some interest. We'll do some more videos about the very specifics and the function and the user interface later on.